On this day, July 3rd, she was 71 years old, and the jury had already found her innocent. Rebecca Nurse had raised 8 children on a farm at the heart of Salem Village. She was half-deaf and frail, and known across the parish for a goodness that even her accusers could not find a crack in. When the accusations began in the winter of 1692, she was the last woman anyone expected to see brought up the aisle in chains. That was exactly what made her worth accusing. The afflicted girls had started with the safe targets: a beggar, an enslaved woman, a wife who never came to church. Then the pointing finger climbed, and it came to rest on a grandmother whose whole life stood as an argument against the charge. If Rebecca Nurse could be a witch, then no one in Salem was safe. 39 of her neighbours signed a paper swearing to her character. That summer, putting your name on such a paper could fit a noose to your own neck. They signed it anyway. She came before the court at the end of June. "I can say before my eternal Father that I am innocent," she told them, and the jury believed her. They returned and spoke the words, "Not guilty." Then the courtroom came apart. The girls dropped to the floor in fits, the watching crowd bayed, and the Chief Justice, openly unhappy with the verdict, turned to the jurors and asked them to weigh one thing again. Earlier, Rebecca had called a fellow prisoner one of us. She had meant a woman who shared her cell, another of the accused. The court demanded to know what she meant by it. She said nothing at all. She had not heard the question. In a courtroom gone silent, the silence of a deaf old woman was taken for a confession. The jury withdrew. When they came back, the word had changed to guilty. The governor signed a reprieve to stay her death. As soon as word of it reached the village, the girls began to writhe again, and the reprieve was torn up. Which brings us to this day, the 3rd of July. They led her from her cell to the meeting house where she had knelt for 30 years. The whole congregation had gathered to watch. By unanimous vote, not one hand raised in her defence, the elders cut her out of the body of the church. The record keeps only the bones of it, that it was done in the afternoon, that she was present. She stood in her own church and listened to herself being unmade. 16 days later, they carried her up Gallows Hill in a cart with 4 other women. One of them cursed the crowd from the ladder. Rebecca Nurse gave them nothing to remember but her stillness. They dropped her body into a shallow pit with the rest. That night, tradition says, her sons rode back in the dark, lifted her out, and carried her home to lie in her own ground. 20 years passed. The same church that had cast her out gathered again and struck the excommunication from its book. Let it no longer be a reproach to her memory, they wrote, nor a grief to her children. The jury had been right the first time. It only took the rest of them 20 years to say so. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thank you.